Darkness had a sound, not silence, but a low, pulsing hum that wrapped around the bones like a distant heartbeat of the universe. Arkon stirred, his breath shaky inside a cracked cryo-helmet, frost cascading from the seals like falling stars. The chamber was broken, half floating in space above a glowing alien planet with violet oceans and jagged, gold-lit clouds. Emergency lights flickered in erratic bursts across his cryopod, which had drifted far from Earth's last fleet. Earth? He barely remembered it. The mission log said cryo-sleep would last 200 years until the sun was stabilized, but something had gone terribly wrong. The AI in his neural net buzzed back to life, speaking with a fragmented voice. Cryostasis failure. You have been asleep for 3,112 years. You are the last awakened human. His limbs were stiff, his memory fogged, and the weight of that number, 3 millennia, crushed his chest harder than the vacuum outside. He floated weightless, surrounded by debris, until a distant light approached. Not a rescue ship. Something unfamiliar. A vessel shaped like a lotus, glowing with strands of starlight and emitting soft musical frequencies. Arkon panicked, reaching for a flare module, but before he could react, the ship opened midair like a flower and beamed him into a containment field of warm gravity. Inside, beings awaited, tall, shimmering, and robed in garments made of shifting constellations. No weapons, no hostility. They knelt, every one of them, thousands, on their knees before him, heads bowed as if welcoming a god. One of them approached, face hidden behind a mask of radiant crystal, and spoke in perfect, ancient English. The prophecy has begun. The first flame has awakened. Arkon, barely conscious, whispered, "I'm just a man." But they didn't hear that. They only saw the awakened one, the human flame, the one foretold to rise when the stars turned cold. They lifted him with reverence and carried him through corridors of golden light, past murals that depicted humans as slumbering titans, surrounded by stars and thrones. Was this real, he thought? Did they worship us? In their world, the cryo-fleet had become legend, frozen gods asleep among the stars. And now he was awake, alone, a myth, a mistake, a messiah. The air shimmered with energy, and as they laid him in a healing pool of light, the leader whispered, "The sleepers dream, but you walk." And the darkness comes. Arkon closed his eyes. He wasn't ready for this. But ready or not, the galaxy had been waiting for him to rise. The temple wasn't made of stone or steel. It was shaped from gravity itself, a hovering lattice of crystalline bridges suspended in light over an endless ocean that pulsed like a heartbeat. Arkon awoke inside it, his body now cleansed of cryo-rot, his limbs moving with ease, though every part of him still screamed for understanding. Around him stood the elders, tall, silent, beings of starlight wrapped in robes, spun from shifting timelines, their voices vibrating not through air, but thought. "You stand within the temple of sleep," the High Elder spoke, his crystal face refracting Arkon's reflection 1,000 times. "Where we remember what the galaxy has forgotten." Arkon tried to speak, but his voice felt small here, like wind against mountains. As they walked together across the floating bridges, the stars around them shimmered like living memories. On the walls of light, Arkon saw murals carved in photons, visions of humans being discovered thousands of years ago, their cryopods drifting into alien systems like seeds on a cosmic breeze. The alien species, the Mirathene, were young then, barely climbing out of their own solar system. But when they found the humans in perfect slumber, encased in glass and gold, they thought them to be gods. They built temples around their pods. They waited. For generations, their society evolved around the belief that one day one of the sleepers would awaken and guide them in the time of collapse. "We did not create the prophecy," the elder said. "It emerged when your presence rewrote our biology. Our minds changed when you arrived. We see the world in ways we couldn't before." Arkon staggered, unsure if he was hallucinating or holding the thread of truth. The Mythic had spent thousands of years shaping their culture around humans who never woke. Until now. Arkon wasn't a warrior anymore. He was a symbol, a living myth. But how could he carry that weight? The elder placed a glowing orb in Arkon's hands. As it touched his skin, millions of voices flooded his mind, every prayer, every vision, every word ever spoken to the humans in sleep. Arkon saw children laying crystals beside frozen pods. He saw wars stopped because the sleepers wouldn't approve. He saw civilizations reshape their ethics around peace, progress, patience, all in hope that one day a human would awaken and lead them into the Starfire Age. His heart cracked under the pressure. "I'm not your god," he whispered, trembling. "I was just a pilot. I was supposed to wake up 2 centuries later and fix a solar reactor." But the Mythic didn't waver. "Your purpose is not for you to define," said the elder. "It has been written across galaxies." Then the sky shifted. The golden light flickered to black. The ocean below turned still. In the distance, a storm approached, not of weather, but of presence. A black force, shape-shifting like ink across the stars. "It has begun," the elder said calmly. "The devourers of light have returned. They consume systems. They cannot be reasoned with. And they fear only one thing, the prophecy of the awakened flame." Arkon stared into the approaching storm, heart thundering. They expected him to lead, but what could he do against something that swallowed suns? He clenched his fists, the orb of memory still pulsing in his palms. Whatever he was before didn't matter now. To them, he was the fire they believed in. And belief reshapes reality. The storm arrived without sound, just presence, overwhelming and all-consuming, blotting out constellations like a cosmic eraser. Arkon stood atop the floating temple, no longer just a man, but the flame they believed in, his armor now reforged by the Mythic's sacred forge, glowing with symbols not from Earth, but from their prophecy, etched in light and memory. Below him, thousands gathered, citizens, scholars, soldiers, all kneeling, watching, waiting. The sky cracked open like shattered glass as the void-born armada emerged, ships shaped like obsidian serpents, their gravity fields distorting space itself. These were the things the Mythic feared for millennia. Sentient dark matter born from a collapsed universe, feeding on energy, swallowing civilizations in silence. The elders knelt beside Arkon. "They do not fear war," they said. "They fear belief. Your existence fractures their probability web. You are an anomaly they cannot control." Arkon gritted his teeth. He wasn't a god, but he had one thing they didn't: hope. He activated the orb they had given him, the archive of memory, and held it high. Light burst from it, not as a weapon, but as a story. A living chronicle of every belief, every sacrifice, every prayer whispered by 1 billion lives over thousands of years. The orb fragmented and fused into his armor, transforming it into a radiant suit of cosmic energy. Half technology, half faith. Then he stepped off the temple and into the sky, lifted not by machine, but by the force of his own legend. As he rose toward the incoming armada, the first wave of Voidborn fired, but their weapons dissolved before reaching him. The AI in his mind whispered, "They are collapsing probabilities. They can't process what you are." Arkon unleashed a solar pulse, something far more than power. It was presence. The Mirathean joined him, unleashing light from their own crystal towers. The temple itself rose into the sky like a warship built on myth. The battle became not one of explosions, but of energy, will, belief, and contradiction. The Voidborn tried to overwrite reality, but Arkon's existence kept rewriting it faster. Where they erased stars, he ignited them. Where they swallowed light, he bled memory. In the end, he faced their prime vessel alone, an interdimensional dreadnought the size of a moon. He summoned the last of the Archive's power, fused with every memory and vision ever placed in the hearts of the Mirathene, and plunged into the heart of the vessel, becoming light itself. Silence. Then stars burst back into place like dreams rebooting. The sky cleared, the blackness receded, and floating gently back to the surface, half-burned, armor shattered but alive, was Arkon. The people ran to him. The elders bowed low, but he just smiled through the pain and said, "You believed." That was enough. And from that day on, they no longer called him a god. They called him something greater, the first flame, the one who turned prophecy into reality. Above them, a new star formed, one they named Arkon's star. Not because he lit it, but because he reminded the galaxy that even in silence, a single voice can burn through the void.